So welcome back everybody to the beautiful fall woods down here in Florida. We just had a cool snap come through and it feels awesome out here. So the footage y'all just seen sadly was part of the footage of a full video that I recorded for y'all skidding some very large rounds out of the woods with my new skidding winch. Here's the bad part. I deleted almost all that footage accidentally, so I just showed that little bit right there. That was all that I retained. I hate that I lost that episode. Awesome cutting, big logs, like this thing has been impressing me. We got a lot more logs to pull out of the woods. This is all hurricane damage from the recent hurricane that hit Florida. So today we're going to be using my Forestry skidding winch. I bought this from this company right here, TMG Industrial. I did a full review on it. This was the cheapest winch I could find, like literally half the price of all the big name brands. If you're not familiar with it, I did a review on it, but you're going to see what it does today. Runs off the tractor PTO, has a clutch system in here which we can engage, and 200 foot of 3/8 cable that winds up in there. We can also skid trees out by hanging our choker chains in the skidding section back here. It's a really awesome piece of equipment. You might want to check that review video out. So this is a trail that runs through our woods. I had a few trees blown across it, and you can see we've done cut sections of them out. We've got to get them out of here. Our trails are very narrow, so we're gonna have to cut these up in like 8-foot logs. The issue is, how do you get trees out that's, well, I've got some way out in the woods we're gonna work on in another episode, but what about all these trees that's out in the woods this direction? I can't really drive my tractor out there and get them. It's a nasty mess. Well, that's where that skidding winch comes in, to pull them out. And we're gonna do it a special way today. We're actually going to physically pull them out into the woods this way with the tractor staying over there. That's the awesome thing about this piece of equipment. I don't have much working room here to tie a long rope to this stuff and pull it out. Plus, I don't really need it pulled down the trail like this because I need to be able to grab it with my grapple. We want this stuff to skid out into the trail, buck it up, and then I can come grab it, haul it off either out of the trail that way or back this way. So real quick, we've already done cut a big section out of this very nice straight water oak. Excellent firewood material. Want to get it out, we'll get this one out. And what y'all can't see is my favorite tree on the entire planet, which is a cherry tree. It's blown down and goes way out there, so we want to get it pulled out as well. All right, so what I'm going to do here is find a nice solid tree that I can use as an anchor point for my strap, because the cable is going to be pulling from the tractor directly behind you, and then we want to go off this direction. So we've shown this before, but this is where a snatch block really comes in handy. Now we're going to take our snatch block, which opens up just like this, and you see it's got a really solid pulley on the inside. We're going to run the cable through this. Close it up, and now we can connect it to our strap and run off any direction that we want to. Now we'll grab our choker chain off the back side of the tractor. Now we'll put that chain around this tree and run it right through the chain end on the end of this cable. This has got a catch on it to catch onto these chains. Let's do a quick recap. The tractor's going to be pulling from over there. Cable goes through the woods, attached to that tree, goes from a snatch block pulley, runs across the ground right here, and we're going to continue to pull the tree out here, cut a section off, hook back up, pull it out here. We're going to do that with every tree that's in here, trying to get us a big stack of logs out here. Go ahead and rev it up just a little bit. We don't need to do a whole lot here. And what you're going to see is this big lever that I'm going to pull back here. What it's doing is engaging a clutch pack that's in here that presses against a big spool that has the cable on it, and it winches it right in. Check this out. All right, so we're going to go ahead and engage this. See the cable's getting tight. As soon as I pull back on this heavily, the tree should come, although it's a little hung up. Let's check it out. All right, so now all we have to do is repeat the process. Get this choker chain off over here. So let me show you a nice thing about this choker chain that I bought right here. It has this poker on the end that's designed to go up and underneath a tree. It's very difficult when a tree's on the ground like this to shove a bunch of loose chain under there, especially on a big tree. This right here slides underneath, pokes right out the other side, and you pull your chain through. I love this design. All right, let's repeat this again. Here we go. All right, so this cherry tree is going to be relatively difficult to get out because I need to cut it here and drag it the same direction this root ball is buried. I don't know if I have enough power to kind of flop this over to make the tree jump out, but that's the cool thing about doing what we're doing. I can move this snatch block and rope to a tree way over here, pull the log out, go hook back to the other tree, and then snatch back that direction once I shift the log over. The possibilities are endless with a winch system like this, snatch blocks, and all the trees that I can use as rigging points out here. Well, that couldn't have worked out any better. Even though this winch is on the lower end of pulling strength, it pulled that no problem. Got all the way against the stump, pulled it, skidded off the side, and this is a long tree too. I didn't hear anything out of the tractor or the winch. Pulled it perfect. I love this winch. And just like that, a few minutes of my time, we have a load of logs waiting to be picked up, carried out. That's absolutely worth mentioning, and I've talked about this before. Anytime you're cutting a blown down tree with an uprooted stump, that root system is so full of dirt and roots, it's extremely heavy, and oftentimes they won't stay standing up. They'll snap back, causing your log to do really odd stuff. So if you'll notice when I'm cutting, not only am I looking at the cut, seeing everything opening up, I'm paying attention to that root ball. And that's a good time to make sure you don't have your dog or a child or somebody on the other side of that, because if that root ball slams closed, it's just trapped the person underneath. And as you've seen, this wanted to kick off and roll toward me, mainly because of this other tree underneath. Be very careful with uprooted trees. is the first. I was trying to make this tight turn with all these logs, and I just found a bottomless pit. Oh my goodness. Y'all, my entire tire is gone. I got to damage an axle here. I'm going to have to drop this load, which is a bummer, and try to use my front end loader to get out. Otherwise, I'm going to have to try to pull the tractor out with the skidding winch. So this was a really good teaching moment that I want to share for potential new tractor owners or somebody that's never got stuck before. I just didn't have a tripod out here with me to show what I did, but I think you can pick it up. So what I did was I curled all the way out with this front end attachment. You can do it with a bucket, anything. Pushed it all the way to the ground, lifting the tractor up out of that hole. And then I curled back out while the tractor was lifted up and I was driving to the rear. Then I would stomp on my brakes so I wouldn't fall back in the hole, lift my loader up, curl in again, push on the ground, start curling out while driving to the rear again. You can really use a front end loader to get you unstuck. That worked great. Holy smokes. This looks like gray clay down there. I don't know what all that is. I think I might have just found clay. Well, regardless, we're not driving back here anytime soon. I got to see if I can get over here and get those with this tractor. If not, I got to go back and get our small tractor because this one's obviously too heavy for this soft ground out here. right, so here's what we wound up with. What I lost in footage. Basically everything from here over is what I've got out of the woods. The last 2 trips in with this skidding winch, and you're only talking just a few hours there. Sadly, all the bigger stuff, you can see the size of those. I lost that footage. That's a good size log to be pulling out through the mud, dirt, and everything else. Whoa, where'd you come from? So here it is all cleaned up. I just had to get all that mud out of the tractor, and I still got some stuck in the tires. That was interesting getting stuck. So what do y'all think about this skidding winch right here? Man, I think it's probably gonna wind up becoming one of my favorite attachment purchases ever. It is so cool to be able to use that and save my back and not have to find a spot in the trail that I can pull with the tractor and rope, because that's just not available on my trails that are constantly turning and tight. It'd be a nightmare to try to run a rope out in the woods and do a long drive and drag down a trail. It's just not really going to work. The rope would be constantly hanging up in other trees. This allows me to sit in one position and winch out one tree after another after another. I love it. I absolutely love it. For as much trees as we have down here, and my parents and us being in a hurricane state, there'll be many more trees down. I can absolutely justify this purchase right here. So the one thing this is really missing, y'all, I'm having to make 2 trips out of the wood. One with the Ranger to drop off the saw and ropes and other stuff. There's no storage, and that's how every single skidding winch is. So I got to thinking, y'all know me, I love to weld and fabricate and do things. I think I figured out how to build a really cool attachment to go on this to haul all that stuff out there. So let me go get up some metal, and we'll have a fabrication episode coming up before long that I think is going to be a really cool add-on to this, and I can make one trip to the woods with the tractor, carry everything with me. Looking forward to that. The wheels are really turning. So to wrap this episode up, let's run back out to the woods. I got to get all this stuff anyways. Let me show you 2 special trees that we're going to try to grab in one of the next episodes. All right, so I already told you we got to come back, and I'm just losing daylight, y'all. We're gonna cut down this little guy, get a decent amount of firewood out of that, and then this right here, if y'all are not familiar, is the bark of a cherry tree. It's very distinct, and I absolutely love cherry trees. They dry really quick. They're excellent smoking and cooking wood. They have a crack and a pop to them when you burn them. I just love that. It's just kind of a drawback to them. They do pop embers everywhere, but it doesn't matter outside. So this is another cherry tree right here, and I was just checking it out, and there is no top in this one, and it's gonna die on us. So the good news is, the reason I said this is a special tree, one, it's my favorite tree for firewood, and I really like it for smoking wood and cooking, but because this is standing dead, looks like it's been dead for a while looking at the top, that means I can go ahead and burn this. We're really behind on firewood this year. So whenever I find these standing dead trees like this, go ahead and get them split up quickly. Well, we've still got many months left of burning season. They'll be somewhat dry enough by the end of the burning season when I should be out of firewood. And I've been trying to get my hands on all the dead stuff I can. You just start the fire with a little bit of dry wood that you have, get a good coal bed going. That stuff will burn fine. The other thing I love about cherry, it dries very quickly compared to, say, oak, for example. So here's the trail, but here's where the winch is really going to help me. Let's go out here. I just discovered another tree that looks like we could potentially salvage and use the wood for this year. So right here, this is a long straight oak. You can see it's somewhat rotten down here. That's really dry. It looks like it's actually been blown over before the hurricane, honestly. You see it's starting to rot up here. But I think there's going to be some good wood in this because it hasn't fell to the ground. It's just starting to get a little bit of this, fungus on the outside, which indicates somewhat of a rotten tree. But this will be ready to burn this year if I can go ahead and drag this out of here. Long straight, a lot of firewood. I can fill up a tote or two with this easily. We'll go ahead and get it in the sun, let it dry the next few months, and this will be what we'll wrap our season up with, along with that cherry. Now here's the problem. Long ways, 100+ feet out to the trail. We got to go through a lot of stuff. This is going to be interesting to pull out, but I think with that new winch, we can pull this off. I'll just set the tractor up way in there and we'll try our best to drag it through. And we can always rig off to the side one way or another with a snatch block and direct the end of the tree whichever way we need to go in order to kind of fish it out through there. These probably need to be the next 2 trees that I focus on, for the simple fact of I'm going to try to burn them this year, which is not what I like to do, but I'm just way behind. Everything else we're up there splitting now is for next year. We're already getting into a lot of greenwood. I still have more trees to get on this side, big oaks that are blown and hung up that are already dead and dying. And then once we go on this side of this swamp right here, I have an insane amount of wood down over there and some dangerous trees too that I think the winch is really going to make things nice and safe, because I can pull way away from the tree and don't have to worry about cutting it and it potentially falling on me. All right, hopefully you enjoyed this. I love doing this kind of stuff, especially when we get a cool snap like this. It's supposed to be really cold tonight, so we're about to go up, clean the fire pit out, start burning some wood and enjoying it. We'll see you on the next episode.